There's a lot of important things that happen neurologically when you're moving well, and the process of learning good movement may actually be easier than you think. My name is Brian. I've been in the health and wellness world now for close to 20 years, and I've been coaching pro-metabolic health and nutrition for nearly 10. Today, we're going to talk about how important movement is for your brain and one of my most favorite ways of improving how well you move. When it comes to movement, you have more brain area dedicated to interpreting the world around you and setting the framework for your interaction in the world based on movement. So you can think of it like this. Your brain wants you to enact your will on the world. Now that can be food related, that can be reaching for your coffee mug and drinking it, it can be eating, it can be finding water, it can be walking, it can be going somewhere, doing something, lifting something, throwing something, whatever it might be. All of that is movement that originates in your brain. So an easy way to think of it is that if you want to move and you want to move well, whether it's an athletic endeavor or you just want to move without pain, your brain is what sets the stage for how you're moving when you do that. So when we practice motor skills, when we practice actually trying to learn a movement pattern, whether it's learning how to throw a ball or whatever it might be, we're trying to actually fire the sequence of events that happens in the brain in enough ways and enough repetition to actually create neuroplastic change, meaning the neurons associated with that movement get stronger because we practice that movement. And we practice it a certain way with a certain level of quality, our brain can actually fire and change. One of the more fascinating pieces of research I've ever come across when it comes to learning how to move well is actually a study out of the University of Chicago on the importance of visualization. What they did is they took 3 different groups of people in the study. They had a group that practiced free throws. They had a group that thought about throwing a free throw but didn't actually throw a free throw. And they had a group that did nothing. That was the control group. And at the end of the study, what they found was that the group that practiced shooting free throws, they improved. They got better by 24%. By practicing, they got better. Pretty cool. The group that did nothing, as you can imagine, they did not improve at all. They got no benefits from doing nothing. Imagine that. But the interesting piece of this paper, the group that did visualization, they thought about themselves shooting the free throw without actually shooting the free throw, they saw a 23% improvement. Meaning they got almost the same improvement as the group that actually threw the free throw. So this is really fascinating because what we learn from this study and where we can take this, and we're going to talk about ways to apply this here in just a moment, your brain, in firing the thought process involved with that movement, can create still a neuroplastic change that can carry over into the actual event itself. So you can think about your movement and it can actually improve when you're not practicing. So this is really, really cool. Now you still have to have a frame of reference for the movement in order for visualization to work. You have to know how to shoot a free throw in order to think about what it's involved with shooting a free throw. So you may still have to seek out some coaching and some tutelage for some direction on how to do that. But if you have that frame of reference, then you can recite it, you can rehearse it in your brain, and you can get the benefits of practicing more than you actually are. Okay? So there's 4 ways that you can generally use visualization to your advantage. 1, you can use it in your workout. You can use it in your training. So what that might look like is I'm envisioning that I'm going to shoot this free throw, and say I've been practicing all day, I've been shooting free throws, and I'm starting to miss them, starting to not be as accurate. Well, I can take a step back from the physical throwing, and now I can just think about what would be involved with that shot. I can say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and practice, and I'm going to see the ball have a good arc. I'm going to see what my hand and elbow position would be. I'm going to see what my shoulder position is going to be. And as you practice that, you can then reassess by actually shooting the shot. So take a break from when you're making the error, visualize what's involved with doing it correctly, and then go back to shooting. And that can oftentimes help to break the inertia of inaccuracy. You can actually start to recalibrate what your body should be feeling and doing by thinking about doing it better. Okay? You can also use visualization when addressing a specific skill you're working on. Okay, so say I'm working with a thrower, and I want to make sure that they've got good thoracic movement while they're throwing. Well, they might throw and not realize they're not doing it. We can actually just visualize one piece of that thoracic movement. We can get them into the position, have them feel it, have them experience it, and then say, all right, now visualize being in that position. Visualize yourself getting that position of your spine. So you can actually break down visualization into very small, specific pieces of that skill. And then you would take it out and you put it all together and have them throw. The third way you can use visualization, you can actually visualize the event itself. So one of the most famous instances of this is Michael Phelps. If you don't know who Michael Phelps is, Olympic level swimmer, super high performing swimmer, winningest swimmer ever. And what he was really known for, at least in this circle of thought process and high performance community, was his ability to visualize his events so vividly before he got there. So he was actually visualizing with such clarity and accuracy and detail some of his swimming events. He could tell you exactly how many swim strokes it would take before he got to the other side of the pool, flip turn, come back, and he could tell you exactly where he's going to be at what time based on his height, his length, his build, and where he's going to take breaths at, and the feel of the water. He was very detailed in his visual imagery. Well, what was really fascinating in one of his events, and he did get the gold medal in this event, is he actually had his goggles fall off. So if you don't know anything about swimming, they wear goggles because trying to see underwater, not very easy. But wearing the goggles helps you see where you are relative to everything else. Well, his goggles actually fell off. But because he knew exactly where he was in that event, he had visualized completing that event so many times with such detail, he was able to tap into knowing how far away from the wall he was, even though he couldn't see it. And knowing where he was going to need to be to flip turn, where he was going to need to be to keep going, he was able to, because of his visualization practice, complete the event, and he actually got the gold medal in it, even though he had a wardrobe malfunction, if you will. So you can use visualization in an actual event context. The fourth way that you can use visualization, this is actually probably the most difficult and challenging way for people. You can use visualization to actually help with the emotional piece of an athletic event. And you can use it outside of an athletic context as well, for that matter. But in terms of the anxiety, the stress, the sympathetic override that your system is going through in the nervousness of leading up to an event, you can start to visualize yourself in that situation. And you can visualize yourself in that situation without that stress. So now you're creating a frame of reference in your brain about what it takes to be stress-free in that situation. And you can practice that. And the more you practice it with more clarity, more detail, the easier it is for your brain to say, wait a minute, we don't need to be as stressed here because every time we rehearsed this, it was easy. It was smooth, it was relaxed, it was calm. We didn't have to be as amped up, we didn't have to be as nervous. So by visualizing the event itself and the emotional context of that event ahead of time, you're now creating a frame of reference for your brain to draw on when the event actually comes around. So you can use visualization across the board with lots of different aspects of improving your performance, and it is probably one of the most underrated tools and underutilized tools that people can lean on for moving better. Because now you get the opportunity to create a brain that you want based on the skills that you want to acquire, the movements you want to have, and all it takes is using your head to think about it. I hope you found this interesting. I love this study. This study is super fascinating to me, and there's lots of ways you can do this to amplify the progress and results that you're getting in any athletic endeavor you're doing and beyond. If you like this information, if you like this content, be sure to stick around, subscribe to this channel, like this video below, and share this with anybody who you think might benefit from it. My name is Brian. I will see you soon. Take care.